Hello, hello, Dr. Clif again, your movement recovery specialist, and welcome back to the gymnasium for our new video on 9 exercises for MS. We all know that exercise is beneficial for our overall health and well-being, but especially for patients with MS, a 2016 study showed that it can decrease the number of relapses, decrease the size of lesions, slow the overall progression of the disease, and also improve your overall quality of life, balance, coordination, and many other health benefits. So, the number one exercise, as we discussed in the last video about keeping cool, would be swimming. I'm not going to demonstrate swimming in this video. Me and a Speedo, not a good plan. But there are a lot of other exercises we can do here in the gym that I will demonstrate for you. The first exercise is push-ups. Push-ups we can do in a kneeling position to start, like so. If they're too hard like this, you can always do half of a push-up. Even just a little bend is going to work your arms, work your chest, and also work on that core some just because of the position you're keeping. Now, if these get easy, you can always progress to a full push-up, or even a push-up with a pause at the bottom. So push-ups are a good overall body strengthening, but particularly for the upper body. The next exercise is a good overall body strengthener, but particularly for the lower body, and that's squats. You can start your squats sitting in a chair, or even sitting part way down, depending on how your body is, but I prefer that you sit the whole way to a chair because it's more like real life, where you have to get up and down off the toilet, get in and out of the car, get off the couch. So you sit back and stand back up. Make sure your feet are shoulder width or a little wider, and think about bending your hip and your knees so that you're sitting back into like that low couch that's a little tough to get to. Otherwise, people have a tendency just to kind of bend their knees and they slide forward, and then it bothers your knee and you're not working all these bigger muscles up here in your hips. The third exercise is something I call north, south, east, west, which can really help your balance, which typically is a common symptom with MS. You may need a chair or a walker or just a big heavy piece of furniture to hold on to for this. That's fine. I actually recommend it in the clinic, at least to start, because you can really focus on the technique then. But what you're going to do, I'll move back just a little, make sure you can see my leg, is you're going to lift your leg up maybe 6 to 12 inches, not real high. Hold it for about 5 seconds, then put it back down. You're going to do 10 of these, just like that. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then put it back down. Then you do the same thing on the other side. Lift the leg up, hold it 5 seconds, then put it back down. 10 on each leg. Then we're going to go to the side. When you go to the side, you just lift your leg a little bit like this, maybe a foot. Most of the time people get a little crazy, they lift their leg up here, their body's leaning all sideways. We want to really work on that good posture. So just a few inches like this, a foot at the most, hold it 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then back down. 10 of those on the right leg. Then we do the same thing on the left leg. I can't go real far, there's a table here in the way. Just like that. The fourth exercise is going to be deadlifts. Now, I start most people here doing deadlifts with a kettlebell like this. You can you don't have to buy some fancy kettlebell like this. You could get yourself a bucket, put some water in it, put some, I don't know, beans, cement, something in the bucket so it weighs a few pounds. Or if you have a dumbbell, I have dumbbells around here somewhere. Here they are. We're going to use these for next. If you have a dumbbell already, you could just stick it upright like this, and it's about the same height, and you just hold on to it that way. But for our demonstration, we're going to use a kettlebell. The deadlift is a very important exercise that works the whole body and is functional because you have to pick stuff up all the time. People get a little worried about it and think they're going to hurt themselves. If it's done properly, the risk of injury is very low. If it's done improperly, the risk of injury is higher. So you just want to make sure that you're in the right position. I have a couple other videos there just on deadlifting, but for our purposes here, you're going to stand with the weight in between your feet. You're going to reach down, grab a hold of the handle, then make sure your chest is up. So if there was a mirror out here in front of us, or like you in the camera, you can see the front of my shirt. I'm not down here like this. This is a problem. Here, hold on to it, stand up. And then you just reverse the process. So we just go straight down so the weight ends up in between our feet. You do not do this, or just lean forward, because this will bother your back. You come back down slowly, keeping your chest up. Exercise number, where am I at? 6, I believe, is a plank. Alright, a plank is almost like a push-up that we did already, except we're not moving. Planks will really work all these core muscles in the front and the back. I would aim eventually for 30 seconds. You don't start with 30 seconds because they're challenging to do properly. I know there's these YouTube videos and stuff where you'll see people doing planks for hours. They're not using the proper muscles and they're just beating things up. If you're using all the muscles in here and you're squeezing and you're tightening and you're doing it properly, doing more than probably a minute, even for high-end athletes, isn't necessary any more than that. If you can do a minute straight properly, you just need a harder exercise, like push-ups, because it's basically a moving plank. But what you do, and you can start with kneeling. So you're on your knees and on your forearms, and you just make your body nice and flat like a table. Pull your belly button in towards your spine. Keep breathing. You can see I'm talking when I'm doing this. I'm not holding my breath. And you just hold that for, let's say, 5 seconds the first day, and then you slowly work up over time, maybe a week, probably more like a month, maybe 6 months, depending on where you're starting, to 30 seconds. When that gets easy, we go back to doing 5 to 10 seconds, and you do the full plank, where you're out here on your toes instead of on your knees. And you just hold that the same way. Squeeze the butt together a little more here because of the position you're in, and pull the stomach in towards the spine. And then the next exercise is basically the opposite of the plank. It's a bridge. So you're laying on your back, and you just lift your buttocks up off the table so that I'm nice and flat here. I'm pushing down with my arms a little bit, and basically my feet and my shoulders are on the table. I'm not way up like a wrestler's bridge back in high school or something. Some of you might remember. I'm not up on my head and putting a lot of pressure on my spine, my neck. I'm just at this point, and I'm pulling my stomach in, and I'm squeezing my butt. This will really work the back of your legs. This will really work your core a little bit, but it's not a real dangerous position. Okay. Number 7 is a 4-way chop. We do this with a ball. If you don't have a ball, You could use a dumbbell, you could use a bag of rice or something, sugar. Not too many people have bags of sugar around anymore. Probably not ideal for MS for other reasons, but that's a whole another video on nutrition and neurological problems. But take a ball or some other thing that isn't real heavy, maybe 2 to 10 pounds, let's say. I'm using 8 pounds and my body's fairly strong. So if I were doing these as exercise, I might use a little bit more weight, but not much. Like maybe I would use 12 instead of 8. So start here. It's almost like a deadlift, and then you lift it overhead. So we go from here down to the ground between your feet, lift it straight up over your head. Down to the ground, straight up over your head. Then we would go at an angle. So down to your foot, and then up and over to the other shoulder. Down to your foot, up and over, and then the opposite side. Down to your foot, up and over, down to your foot, up and over, and then the fourth direction is out straight while you squat. This might be a little challenging for some people, depending on your balance. The first time you do it, I'd do it with the chair behind you. Or you don't have to do the pushing part, you may just do a partial squat, which you should know from doing the squats earlier on how your body is. But you push out as you squat, then come back in. Push out, come back in. Exercise number 9 is overhead press. Take a couple dumbbells. If you don't have dumbbells, you can use something else. Especially when you first start out, you don't want more than a pound or two. You can use a couple big cans of soup, or 2 water bottles would work good. Take the dumbbells, hold them here, push up straight, then come back down. Now what I want you to see is that when I push up, my arm ends up by my ear. It doesn't end up out here like this, because this will beat up your shoulders. So it ends up back here where my arm and my ear are lined up together. Just like this. If you don't have the motion to do that, don't use weight. The dumbbell should make it a little bit easier, but if you still find that you're only getting to here, you need to do some stretching to get more motion in your shoulder. It's common that this whole upper part of our chest tightens up, gets kind of pulled forward just with all the time we spend driving and on the computer. So if that's a problem, just use like a broomstick or golf club or umbrella just to go through the motion, but don't put a lot of stress on your shoulder with extra weight if you aren't getting up there by your ear. The last exercise is marching. All we do is lift the foot up, put it back down, lift the other foot up, just high knees, up and down. This will help your balance. If they're real easy, you make it a little more challenging. I have this big spongy mat. You can just use like a pillow, put it on the ground, march on that. This feels like I'm walking in the sand or walking in the snow. I'm glad I don't do that anymore. Walking in the sand, by the beach, much nicer. This will challenge your balance. You also can do this at the beginning. We didn't talk about it, but if you want a little more cardio and some warm-up, you can just march on here and not lift your feet quite as high, or march on the ground, not lift your feet quite as high for like 5 minutes at the beginning of your workout just to warm up. And it is a surprising amount of cardio just to continuously move your feet like that. Okay, so those are our 9 exercises for MS. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it and got something out of it, give us a thumbs up. Share it with a friend or two. If you like this type of video, don't forget to subscribe, because I do regular videos a few times a week like this. If you have some other condition or have a friend that has a condition that hasn't been talked about yet, leave a comment below and I can get a video out for you. And remember, life is a strength sport. Get strong and get living.